Hello guys, it's Dulcet49er here with a review of the Logitech G502 Proteus Spectrum gaming mouse. I'm going to start with the features of the mouse and then I'll move on to my pros and cons of the G502. Starting off with the features, the G502 features a PMW3366 optical sensor. This sensor is one of the best in the world. It's considered to have maximum performance and tracking accuracy, and it's really very responsive and allows you to be as precise as possible. The G502 features Logitech's G Delta Zero optical sensor technology. This allows for a DPI range from 200 to 12,000. This also means it has zero sensor acceleration and zero smoothing or filtering, as well as zero pixel rounding. This G Delta Zero technology makes it a clean experience. You're not being hindered by any strange acceleration or anything like that on the mouse and on your mouse pad, which is really good for gaming. The PMW3366 sensor, which is in the G502, is a clock tuning sensor which allows it to reach higher speeds, and also throughout the life of the product it ensures that it can still accelerate, and also these speeds are kept even if there's temperature differences or humidity on the surface. G502 also has surface calibration with the Logitech gaming software, so you can use the software and this mouse and it will pick up on whether the surface is rough or maybe it's extremely reflective, and it picks up on that and you can tune it to the surface that you're using. This allows you to get maximum high-speed performance and also allows you to have a lower lift-off distance for the mouse. One of the coolest things about the G502 is the ability to do weight and balance tuning. So they give you 5 3.6 gram weights, and you can place them on the bottom of the mouse wherever you would like to balance out the mouse or make it heavier if you'd like a really heavy mouse. I personally use it without the weights, and you can do that too. I like it very light as possible, but you can tune it to at least in 3.6 gram increments. You can tune it and balance it however you would like. The G502 has 11 programmable buttons, and I like this because there's not too many that you're always hitting them, and they're also placed in the correct position so that you don't accidentally hit the buttons very often. But there's 11 of them and you can use them for whatever you'd like. Using the Logitech gaming software, you can make them macros or just make them do different things when you click them, depending on if you're playing a certain game or you're in a certain program. Because it is called the Logitech G502 Proteus Spectrum, you are able to change the RGB lighting on the top to any of the 16 million possible color options. You can also change it to a breathing pattern and different patterns if you'd like to do fancy lighting. You can make it match your other peripherals, which is something I like to see with things like mice, where you might have other peripherals that are lit up, but you just want your little LED on your mouse to match. It's easy to do with the Proteus Spectrum. One of the cool features with the lighting is that you can have it go onto sleep mode when you're not using your computer. This is just a nice feature if you keep your computer on at night and you don't want it to wake you up, especially if you have like the breathing effect on or something. It might be a little bright if it's pitch black. The G502 Proteus Spectrum works with the Logitech gaming software like the Logitech G610 gaming keyboard that I reviewed just recently, so you have a lot of different options there. You can do different light patterns, you can sync the colors, of course you can do the surface tuning that I mentioned earlier. Easily my favorite feature of the G502 Proteus Spectrum is the dual mode hyperfast scroll wheel. This was also on the G502 Proteus Core, and it was definitely my favorite feature on that as well. It's so useful. You can lock the scroll wheel and it just goes through notches, and when you lift your finger off the scroll wheel it stops moving, or you can unlock it and when you use the scroll wheel it will roll. So if you're at the top of a page you need to get to the bottom of something like a forum thread, or the other way around, you need to get back up to the top of a page, you can just run your finger over the scroll wheel and it will just continue until of course friction stops it. The size and shape of the G502 Proteus Spectrum is great. It's a great size. It's not too small in the hand. It's also not too big. It's like easy to handle, and the shape is very ergonomic. I do like it. It looks very nice. It's like well designed, but it's also very functional. The textured rubber grips on the sides as well as the smooth palm rest really allow you to use the mouse for hours and your hand doesn't get tired or itchy, and it's just well designed overall. Because it might be useful for you to know the dimensions and the weight of the mouse, the G502 is 132 millimeters in length, 75 millimeters wide and also 40 millimeters deep. The mouse and the cable weigh a total of 168 grams, and the mouse only weighs 121 grams. You can add an additional 18 grams of weight onto that with the weights that they give you. Now on to my opinion of the G502. Something that I think is very interesting and I'm really glad that they include is the adjustable weight feature. And I don't use it personally. Not everyone uses their mouse the same way, and people have different preferences on the weight. I think it's really nice that they added that feature in, and I do think a lot of people make use of it. I also really like the design and the placement of the buttons on the G502. It's the right amount of buttons in the correct places so that you're not hitting them when you don't want to, and it's easy to reach if you do need to hit these buttons. The PMW3366 sensor is extremely precise, and the features that the mouse has really allow you to tune the mouse to whatever games you're playing or whatever you're doing on your computer. Easily my favorite feature is the unlockable or the hyper fast scroll wheel. It's so useful. I use it every day. I use it probably every 20 minutes, and you can just go through pages really easily, and also you of course have the option of using the scroll wheel as normal. The only thing I think could be improved on the G502 is the LED. It's great and it's very bright and no problems with the dimness of it, but if you set it to something like white, it's sort of, the covering on it is sort of tinted a little bit, so you can't get it to match the crystal white that you would have on the G610, but honestly I don't see it very often because my hand's over it, so really not an issue. It's just one of those things that they could improve, and I don't think it would be that difficult to improve for maybe the next version of the G502. That is it for my review of the Logitech G502 Proteus Spectrum gaming mouse. If you did find this helpful or you did enjoy this review, a like and a share would be greatly appreciated. Shares do really help me out. It brings new people to the channel. If you're not subscribed, make sure to do so for more gaming tutorials and reviews. Also, my social links are in the description. You can follow me on Twitter for updates and interesting tidbits from the internet. Thanks for watching and have a good one.